Hey everybody, Mike Rhyner of Your Dark Companion here to talk to you about Al Maximo. Football, soccer, F1, they are our Spanish language show. It features Victor Villalba, the Spanish voice of the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Mavericks, and Carlos Nava, ESPN Deportes reporter of NFL, MLB, NBA, boxing, and soccer. They give the majority's look at sports and all that implies. They are Al Maximo. Check them out at patreon.com/Sunset Lounge DFW.
Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Rhyner, sports talk.
Baseball, 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 baseball. Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
Isn't that a lightning strike, boys? What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming.
The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off sake.
This is a cool night or what?
Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
Hey everybody, how you doing today? It's time for another episode of Little Your Dark Companion, your favorite podcast, my favorite podcast, everybody's favorite podcast. And we are ready to roll in here today. We're going to make another addition to the Two Timers Club, but I can scarcely think of anybody that I would rather have join that somewhat elite institution than the great Jeff K.
Michael, you weren't lying. This is my favorite podcast.
You're a very sweet guy.
And especially, we were talking about how great Scott Strong was.
Yes.
Just a couple of days ago. And, you know, I worked with Scott for a couple of years at Merge and Bone. And I've heard a lot of those stories, and he is an incredible raconteur. So that was a great episode. If you haven't seen that yet, go watch that one.
He is an incredible raconteur, and a great guy too. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, it's summertime. Getting to spend more time with my grandbaby, which is fun. Mm-hmm. But we just got the Stars preseason scheduled today, which is exciting. So it won't be too long till hockey, and even sooner, Dallas Cowboys season will pick up pretty soon. We'll get behind the mic again for some Cowboys football.
And for those who may not know this, I'm sure a lot of you do, but for those who don't, the man at the helm on the PA at both Stars and Cowboys is none other than the great Jeff K.
Yeah. Still don't know how I got those jobs, but I'm going to keep them until I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, those are the kind of jobs that once you get them, you'll do anything to keep them.
Yeah. I mean,
He has done anything to keep him.
yeah. Hey, now.
Sorry, that's for off air.
Now, you know, we touched on this maybe the first time I was here, but working in sports presentation is one of those things that you learn about being in the right place at the right time. But also, you also learn that, maybe the Cowboys, you know, being the number one sports franchise on the planet, would have, maybe ought to have done an international search for their next public address announcer. But if you've got a great relationship with the person that's responsible for game presentation with the Cowboys, the great Corey Miller, and we've worked together for more than a decade, he and I, and he feels comfortable in my abilities, and he gave me an opportunity. There was no guarantee that I was going to be the public address announcer for the Cowboys. It was one of those things where, hey, Charlotte Jones likes your voice. She'd be interested to see if you could do it. And it started with, a preseason with the Cowboys back in 2017, I think, if you can believe it. And I've never looked back.
That's awesome. I've always been infatuated at every stadium that I've ever been to, every time I watch a game on TV, I always pay attention to the PA guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're a big baseball guy, and we all want to be Chuck Morgan when we grow up. I mean, there's nobody better than Chuck.
I think what got me started on this, though, was when I was a kid. I got into baseball in like 1959. And back then, the Yankees were on TV all the time. All the time. And every time they would come on TV, they would go out to the stadium and there'd be 10 seconds of not dead air, but 10 seconds or so before the play-by-play guy came on. And in the background, you could hear the PA guy. And the PA guy at Yankee Stadium at that time was a guy named Bob Shepard. And I guess you're familiar with him.
Chris Chambliss.
Yes.
Yes. Very understated.
He was very understated. He was very, very formal. He was very, very New York. And here was I, a little hick kid in Texas, parented by country people who just didn't understand, how people could sound like that. And I didn't know if I liked it or not because it was so foreign to me.
Right.
But over time, Bob Shepard kept that gig for years and years. And now, whenever somebody comes up to me and says, Yankee baseball, what's the first thing you think of? I say Bob Shepard. And when you consider all the things that I probably should and could think of, that's saying quite a bit. But
No, he's definitely a legend in the PA world for sure.
But man, I've always been so eaten up with the PA guys.
Why is that? Like you're interested, you're bothered, some rub you the wrong way, or would you just shut up, Jeff? Stop screaming at me? Or
No. I've just been into it because it's just one of the. I guess everybody has sports quirks,
right?
Or sports kinks, if you will, that they kind of pay a little bit of attention to, which is kind of off the wall and probably something that's not going to interest anybody else except them. In fact, I've never had this conversation about this anywhere except right now. But that's kind of mine. That's kind of what I pay attention to and always have.
I mean, you've heard my Stars presentation
Yes, I
because
have.
you're a season ticket holder. You're down in the highfalutin, second row behind the goal there. I don't know who
I'm
you
not,
know.
choice.
I'm not. I just know somebody who
There
is.
you go. That's right. Stay humble, Mike. Stay humble. But so that is a very different presentation. What's required of me for a Dallas Stars presentation is much different than what I'll do at a Cowboys game. Have you been to a Cowboys game since I've started?
Not in a long time. I mean, I bet I have, but I really don't remember too much about it. So go into the difference between the two things a little bit.
So I think one of the reasons I got the Cowboys gig is because, well, first of all, the Cowboys have a two-pronged approach, and this was something that was completely foreign to me before I took over as PA. I was the in-game host for both the Stars and the Cowboys, and that has a lot to do with why I think I got both public address gigs, is because my voice was familiar already to both audiences. Stars fans knew me from all the years I was the yuck monkey in the crowd, and same with Cowboys fans. So when it came time for me to take over with the Stars, that was kind of a smoother transition. The Cowboys had an audition. It was a private audition. It wasn't a public. It wasn't an international thing where they brought in guys with 30 years of experience trying to take the Cowboys job. It was me and 5 other guys that, Corey and Charlotte had known that they thought would be good for their next public address announcer. So I didn't realize that the Cowboys PA involved a play-by-play presentation and a marketing presentation. And that was handled by 2 different public address announcers, right? You had Brad LaRock, the late Brad LaRock.
Yes.
He did all the marketing stuff for the Cowboys. He was their desk co-host, and he would also come into the PA booth, and he would sit next to the late Roger Emmerich, and he would handle all the stuff that would happen after the whistle. So Roger did the play-by-play. He would do the Dak Prescott's pass complete, first down Cowboys. Very understated.
Right.
And then, the whistle would blow. They'd go to TV timeout. And then it would be Brad's turn. He'd be like, hey, Cowboys fans, Cowboys scratch off tickets from the Texas lottery. It was much more amped up.
Right.
So when Brad couldn't do games, and there were times he lived in Colorado, so there were times where I'd have to fill in for Brad, and they put me into that position. I was, I came from being out in the crowd with the, hey, Cowboys fans, we're going to do a big contest now. Mike from Dallas is here. Mike, look up on the screen. We're going to take a football and spin it around. Right. So it made sense for me to do the marketing side of it, right? So I'm like, I got this, man. If they need a replacement for Brad, I can do the marketing side of it. I've done it before. I've been his fill-in. So when we had the audition, they showed us plays on the screen, and they said, okay, do the play-by-play for it. So I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, so there's no way I'm going to get this job. So I was just like, hand off to Zeke Elliott, a gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Dak Prescott's pass complete to Jason Witten, first down Cowboys. I mean, I was doing it that disinterested. I really wasn't hyping it up. And so the next day, Corey calls me and goes, hey, man, congratulations, you got it. I'm like, yes, who's doing play-by-play? He goes, no, Charlotte wants you to do play-by-play. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, she loved your understated presentation. That's exactly what we're looking for. I'm like, well, who's doing the marketing stuff? He goes, you think you can do that too? I'm like, well, that was 2 people. And I said, Corey, does it pay two people? Like, can I get paid for what 2 people? He goes, we'll look at it. Let's get you in on a preseason game, see if you can handle it, and then we'll let you know. So again, that was, this is my 8th season now. I'll be starting with the Cowboys, and I do all of it. The play-by-play, we go to TV timeout. I hype up to the Jeff K. read that most people know me from, especially from the Stars. But if you come to a Cowboys game, the stuff that I do in play, the play-by-play stuff, I try to channel a little bit of Roger in my presentation. I almost have a little bit of I wouldn't say like a Southern drawl in it, but there's Roger is always with me. I mean, he was one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. I'm sure you've got some Roger Emmerich stories.
Oh, God, I love the guy.
But, and he had me on his podcast, before he passed away. And I think I might have told you this story in the first round, but, he wanted me on his podcast. He knew nothing about me, but he did homework on me where he went and studied everything about every chapter of my radio career. And so we were in the middle of my podcast where he was interviewing me, and he goes, so you threw away that Edge job and you went to California for what you called techno summer camp. Tell me more about that. I'm like, in my mind, I'm going, oh my God, Roger, you really did your homework. Oh. So that's just the commitment that Roger had. And he'd always had a nice word. He'd ask me about my family. He came to my 50th birthday party. I mean, he's just a beautiful, wonderful guy. So Roger is always with me when I do my Cowboys presentation. So, pass complete to C.D. Lamb, first down Cowboys. A little bit like that.
That's him.
Yeah. Just a little bit kind of like this. Just a little, not too much, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But you won't hear any of that when you come to a Stars game. No. Stars game, it's, Miro Heiskanen. It's got to be that over the top, a little bit of growly and aggressive hockey style of presentation.
You're great at the Stars games.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, the Stars thing, if people say, which do you prefer, or whatever, and that's a really tough answer because the Cowboys are the #1 sports franchise in the world. People love the fact that I'm the Stars public address announcer, and I love that. And God forbid I'd ever have to choose or whatever. And this isn't, Corey knows that I was a Star season ticket holder before I found a way for them to pay me to go to games.
Right.
And they bought it, which is the crazy part. But when I talk to people and I tell them, they're like, oh, yeah, you work for the Stars. I go, yeah, and the Cowboys. They go, and the Cowboys? I didn't know that. Tell me all about that. So it's funny, but a lot of people don't realize that I'm the Cowboys public address announcer. I don't ever say, hey, this is Jeff K., Dak Prescott's pass complete to C.D. Lamb. They just hear a voice. And the fact that it is a little bit of Roger in me, it's kind of tough. Is that Jeff? Is that Jeff K. doing that? So, but when I go into the marketing stuff and hey, Cowboys fans, then they're like, oh, yeah, there's Jeff. You recognize that voice.
Do you, when you sign off after a Cowboy game, do you say your name like you do at the Stars games?
So the Cowboys have an opportunity for me at the beginning, like pre warm up. There's really no warm up in football. So unless you're there like an hour before the game, you won't know it's me. And then at the end of the game, I guess I can thank people for coming out. And we went like 2 seasons where we didn't lose a home game, which was fun. And I could say, Cowboys win. I'm Jeff K. But last season I didn't. It was more like we didn't even mention the score. And everybody, see you next week. But so your answer is, that's the thing, right? So as the in-game host, every time you're on the screen, you're like, "Hey fans, it's Jeff K. I'm here with Mike," and they know who you are. And there's a chyron below your. You know what chyron is? It's the strip below the screen that has your name on it for people who don't know what that is. So as the in-game host, you get much more shine as to who you are, and people understand that. So moving into a public address announcer role. There's a lot less opportunity for people to see you. They hear you, they don't see you, and they don't really get told who you are unless they're there early or they're there at the very end. But it's also a league mandated position. That's what I like to tell people. Like, do you miss being the in-game host? We really don't get to see you that much. You go, oh no, I don't. The public address announcer. That's a league mandated position. They have to have one of those. Yeah. They don't have to have an in-game host. So it's much more prestigious, Mike.
Of course.
Jeff's more prestigious now.
Without a doubt.
Do you get paid twice for the Cowboys thing?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I didn't want to leave that mystery unsolved.
Yeah,
so
no, that
makes me happy.
Cowboys take good care of me. I will say, if you broke it down to what I make per hour, I mean, the Cowboys have a 6-hour call time, Mike. So in a noon kickoff, we have to be there at
6 a.m.
You got it, buddy.
That's some good math.
And so game starts at noon, and the Jeff K show starts maybe about 11:30, and then the game doesn't stop until like 3:15. Got to be done in time for those 3:30 games, right? So if I was only doing the Roger Emmerich portion, when we went to TV commercial, I could run, go to the bathroom. But since I'm doing both, I really don't get a break. I'm lucky if at halftime, and there's some halftimes like the Jimmy Johnson Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Like people ask me, what was your most prestigious moment as the public address announcer for the Dallas Cowboys? Well, until I call a NFC championship game, my most proud moment, I would say, is I got to handle the Jimmy Johnson Ring of Honor ceremony that was broadcast on national TV with my voice underneath all the Ring of Honor guys that were there. It was Emmitt Smith, it was Troy Aikman, it was Michael Irvin, it was all those guys, and I got to say all their names. And again, I went very understated. I didn't growl. And I go back and I watch that, and
now, did you treat them all the same way?
I did. Just all the same. It wasn't. It wasn't disinterested by any means, but it certainly wasn't growly. That's the thing. You don't want to go back after the fact and go, you don't want to wince a little bit. Like, man, I wish I wouldn't have shouted or growled. Those guys deserve respect. This is a respect moment for Jimmy Johnson. Let him do the growling, and that's exactly what he did. He did the, how about them Cowboys? There is a bit of a prestige. The Cowboys take good care of me. My point is, I go around the block. We learned from my first time here that I will go around the block on you.
That's okay.
It is about a 12.
That's what the podcast is all about, Jeff.
Yeah, I love it. We can just talk forever.
You have that kind of latitude.
We say what we want.
It could be a 10 to 12 hour day. So if you took my compensation and divided it by 12 per hour is not that great. But if I told you how much I made for a Cowboys game, well, that's pretty good. Yeah. But there's only 10 games. Whereas the Stars, I've got like 42 regular season games, and I've got hopefully, it'd be great to get 16 wins in the playoffs. Wouldn't that be fun, Grooves? Yeah.
That was fun once upon a time.
Yeah, and you know what?
It'll happen again.
Hey, listen, we've been the third best team for 3 straight years, and the Stars have been doing some things. And people always want, people are upset, and it always a sour taste in your mouth at the end. That's going to happen to every team except the team that wins the cup. But if you can step away from it and kind of look at what the Stars have done in the last couple of years,
Yeah,
it has been
You
amazing.
got to put the picture in the frame.
Right. Would I like to get a ring? Does it bother me that some sports presentation public address announcers have come into their job and won a ring in their first season or second season? No, it hasn't bothered me. I'm coming up. This is going to be my 20th season with the Dallas Stars when we start up in the fall, and I'm still waiting for a ring. The great Bill Ollerman got his in his 6th season. I would like to think that before it's all said and done that I could get one for either the Stars and the Cowboys.
That
would be fun.
That would be pretty neat.
That would be pretty neat.
So, what are your thoughts on the state of radio these days? Now, I don't want you to impugn yourself.
No,
here.
I know.
Anyway, I'm just looking for an objective.
How about I just explain
above the
to
clouds
you
viewpoint?
I just explained to you my scene, my situation, because I really can't answer that question because I'm not around what's happening much in radio these days. I am in a very isolated situation with what I do, but I prefer it where I'm at in my career, in my life. I actually prefer. I work from home, Mike. COVID forced all of us to work remotely. And that's when I say all of us, I mean the entire radio industry just about had to go home and be isolated. And we all started out trying to figure out ways to broadcast from home, and it was very crude. But what I did in that first year is I committed to something that I wanted to do for a long time, and that was build a home studio. Not like what you got going here, man. I would love to see my home studio look like what you got rolling here, man. Maybe one day I'll get there.
I'll bet yours just blows this little.
No. I've got
this
enough to
little
get
hut
by.
away.
He's got a great setup, but we win.
I've got a good setup for
Have
one.
you seen it?
I have.
Yeah. Okay,
I've been to
all
his
right.
house because
Okay.
we're friends.
I'll take your word for it, Shoopy.
We had a little sip and see for Olivia, and if we had it today, you would be invited, Michael. I don't know why you kind of slipped through the cracks on that, but Groobs came to that, and so he saw my setup at my house.
Pretty sweet. He's got a great
And the
list
first thing
too.
everybody notices, and this could be a good plug. Are you familiar with the Chaotica eyeball? Is your producer familiar with the Chaotica eyeball? Do you know what that is?
No, what's that?
So the Chaotica eyeball is a windscreen. I keep hitting this sign here, and this is a great sponsor, by the way. When we did that thing at the Kessler,
Yeah.
I went home with a gift bag.
That's good.
That's all I'll say about that.
Good stuff.
So the Chaotic eyeball, this is what I have for my microphone at home. So I have the nice Sennheiser mic, and this was all supplied by iHeart. I work for iHeart Media. When I started working for them, it was Clear Channel. Believe it or not, Mike, I'm coming up on 20 years with that conglomerate, which I thought my Susquehanna/Cumulus stint was long at 8 years. The Cumulus blew me out in 2006. And then I spent a year working full time for the Stars. Thank God, they put me to work so I could have benefits for my wife and daughter. But then Clear Channel hired me right before 2007. So I guess I'm at 18 years now with Clear Channel iHeart. So
Nice.
So they sent me home with some equipment, which wasn't great to start. But I got the Sennheiser mic, but I kept hearing kind of a tinny, echoey sound that was bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
You guys are familiar. But I didn't want to put the foam, the stuff that you're supposed to put all
Yeah.
over the walls to make it. It just didn't. I've got cool stuff on the walls like you do. I've got some posters and some set lists, and I didn't want to do that. So I started looking online, and the public address announcer at the Washington Capitals, his name is Wes Johnson, and he's a voice actor. You should look him up. He's a great follow on social media, Wes Johnson. He said, "Man, have you heard about the Chaotic eyeball?" I'm like, "No, what is that?" He goes, "It looks crazy, but it's the most amazing thing ever." So it's a big round foam thing.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
You found it online?
No, but now that you've said something like kind of describing it, I think I know what you're talking about. But I'm still gonna let you finish.
Yeah. So they have one to fit any microphone you could imagine. One of these, the long Sennheiser that I have, or the Electro Voice.
You put it on the microphone just like this.
Yeah, you
screen?
slide it in, but then it's got a little cover to it, and it looks like a big foam round bowling ball basically on your microphone.
Really?
Yeah. So when people come into my studio, they look, the first thing they do is go, "What in the heck is that?" And when I do my interviews or I do like some Zoom calls or whatever, and if you'll see any of my Zooms that I do on my YouTube channel or whatever, you know, I talk into my mic and I've got this crazy enormous round mic screen, but it's never sounded better. I mean, it sounds full, it sounds clean, the echo's gone.
Yeah, that's the one big thing that people have problems with the Sennheisers is that they don't have as much depth
Yep.
as some other mics.
Yep.
And I bet that really fixes some of those problems.
So I love it. You know, I think it was like $120 for a freaking mic screen or whatever, but it was great. So yeah, so I got one of those, solved that problem. And I've got let's see. I've got a nice iMac. Anyway, here's what I do for iHeart now. So they sent us all home. In the process of being furloughed and working from home, they kind of slid some things around. They moved me off the books in Dallas. So technically, I am not necessarily a Dallas iHeart employee. I'm now part of what they call the National Programming Group. I'm a creative production designer. There are like maybe 45 to 50 of us in the country, and we share the production, the commercial radio production load for the entire country, which is kind of awesome. It's a lot of fun. Like if you go to Seattle and you're listening to an iHeart station, you'll hear my voice on some radio spots. If you go to Miami, you're listening to iHeart. I mean, anywhere in the country, there's a good chance you'll hear Jeff K on the radio, which is kind of cool.
So they send you stuff and just have you voice it every day, and
I produce it.
Oh, you do?
Right. So that's
the whole thing.
Yeah. So I also do afternoons on Lone Star 92.5. So
Right.
people in Dallas think, you know, that's my main job is doing afternoons on Lone Star. Really, my main job for iHeart Media is creating radio spots. And so I'll wake up in the morning and I'll log on, and there's a website that I go to, and the website will kind of deal the deck of cards, and I'll be assigned a certain number of spots to produce. 15s, 30s, 60s, 90s, 120s. And some of them are rip and read. Some of them are single music bed with my voice. Some of them are multi-voice. Some of them are full concert spots where I've got to get the songs, and some of them require Foley or sound effects. And iHeart has a website where we go to get cleared music beds and cleared sound effects and all that.
You're not having to like take coconuts and
No, I don't have
Hit
to
them
do
together,
them.
make
Yeah,
the
the
horse
horse
gallops and stuff.
galloping with the coconuts. Here's the thing. I wouldn't do production in 1985. I wouldn't do production in 1995. I remember the days working for The Edge back in the 90s where we had to splice the tape, and we had carts, and all the production came on cassette, and you had to play them first, and you had an 8-track recording machine. I don't want to get in the weeds, but anyway, the job
That's
to
the
make
radio
one
I know best.
Yeah, to make one commercial could take you 2 hours. I can probably knock out 30 commercials in 2 hours now. So, and trust me, so once I'm done with my commercial load, then I'll kind of log off that website, take a breather, maybe take the dog for a walk. Bowie loves me working from home because he gets walks and treats, and we get to play all day.
Right.
He's the one that loves my setup. My wife, you know, she's come around to it, but yeah. So now I've lost my train of thought. So
how your day's going after doing your
right.
spots,
So
walking
I'll
the
turn
dog.
the website off, and I'll think, okay, now I've got to do my show prep for my afternoon show. Oh yeah, I've also do an afternoon show in Dallas. So, you know, I'll do an hour's worth of prep where I'll see what's going on in Dallas. I'll go through Instagram. I'll go through the Dallas Morning News. I'll go through the music sites. I'll figure out what's topical. You know, there's liners for iHeart that they want us to talk about. Our iHeart Radio Music Festival in Las Vegas this September, which is actually a pretty good show this year. We've got 3 Lone Star based artists. We got Sammy Hagar, we got Brian Adams, and we got John Fogerty, if you can believe it. Usually they're very top 40 heavy, but this year we got some good classic rock. So then I will put my show together. And for people who think that radio today is done live, yes and no. Morning shows are still live and in the moment, though they're probably on a 10 to 20 second delay. And talk radio is done in the moment, probably on a 10 to 20 second delay. But most music DJs that talk once or twice, 3, 4 times an hour, up the ramps of songs or into commercials, those people are generally not live. They're what we call voice tracked.
Yeah.
So there's a website that iHeart has. It's called Sound Plus, where I go to find my playlist. Not only can I find my playlist for Lone Star, but I also voice track several other stations on the weekends for iHeart. I'm on in Seattle.
Is this your playlist? Is this all the songs that the station plays, or just what
this
you're
is the
playing?
log.
Oh, okay.
This is the log for today that has the songs and the commercials in the order they would be if you were in the studio.
Gotcha.
It's just a different looking screen than what we have in studio, which is our next gen system, which Grooves is all too familiar with, which I'm sure you are too, having worked over at iHeart for a stint. So the next gen is proprietary.
An ill-fated stint.
It's a very DOS based system. It looks like it's from about 1993, but it gets the job done. Sound Plus is much more, 2025.
Yeah.
So then I'll kind of put my show together, which means I'll voice track it, and I'll get my breaks done, and I'll get them in the log, and now my show is done. And that might be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. My show starts at 3. Today, I haven't started. I'll probably get home about 1:32. I'll start voice tracking, but it'll be done and in the can before 3. Now, Jeff, what happens if, storms come through, there's a tornado watch or whatever? Well, I can go in and I can recut one of those voice tracks, and I can do it 5 minutes before it airs. So I can be very topical, very in the moment. God forbid a classic rocker passes away, which we've seen more and more of lately. I know you were talking to Scott Strong about Brian Wilson.
Yes, we were.
We got to play some fun Beach Boys songs. Beach Boys aren't necessarily in normal rotation on Lone Star because they're considered more of like a 60s pop oldies. Thank you. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. They're not necessarily, a Texas leaning classic. But anyway, we broke format that day because it was frickin' Brian Wilson and he's an icon. So I went in and recut my breaks and we talked about Brian Wilson. And, if I want to get callers on the air, I can do that. I have a way that I can go to another website and I can plug in some, I got to put in my username, password, got to go through like 15 firewalls, and I've got to put in a code, and the request lines come into my home. And so I can take callers, and I've got a Rodecaster, which is like a mini board, radio board.
Right.
And I can take callers, and I can put callers in my show if I want. So I can basically do my show just as thorough as I would in the on-air studio, but I'm at home.
Pretty neat.
It is pretty neat. There's upsides and there's downsides, but I think the way that iHeart has things streamlined now, I think iHeart's able to put the best talent in the company on the air in any market in the country. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, I do know what you mean. This is the great Jeff K with us today. And now it is time once again for the dreaded mid-show read. This Wednesday, kids, the 16th of July, we got something special for you. 1 o'clock, we're going to be holding a Broadcasters Roundtable. This is presented by Specialized Investigations. This will feature 3 play-by-play voices. In fact, the 3 play-by-play voices of our 4 teams. Chuck Cooperstein, Brad Sham, Eric Nadell will all be there for sure. We're hoping that we can get Josh Bogorod there, who does the Stars, but we've not been able to clamp that down yet. But the other
he's traveling in town, and all that. So
the other three are on for sure. They and I will be there, and you can come by too. This will be at the Maplewood Private Social Club. That's at 2615 Inwood Road in Dallas. You will dig the atmosphere of Maplewood and their food units. They'll serve their full lunch menu as well as 2 martinis. So tell the boss you need a long lunch. Make your way over, but don't use the company credit card for your personal time out. Our presenting sponsor recommends that you use your own. Specialized Investigations has offered litigation support to criminal defense attorneys for 29 years. Specialized in financial crimes, they are able to provide forensic accounting in state and federal court. Attorneys may contact them at rmore@specializedinvestigations.net. That's rmore@specializedinvestigations.net. This Thursday, 16th of July, 1 o'clock, Maplewood Private Social Club in Dallas.
That's the same one.
Oh, it is?
I'm sorry.
Oh, balls.
I'm trying.
All right.
There we go.
All right, here we go. Take 2 in 3, 2, 1. What if I told you you could free yourself of pain, anxiety, and sleepless nights? And what if you could do it naturally? The CBD House of Healing is a women-owned CBD boutique. They can't help. They would like to help. They carry only products from their lab made to meet the highest quality and purity standards. Their owner is also an RN, and they emphasize building trusted relationships through education. They give you the knowledge to care for yourself. That's their ultimate goal. That's what they want to do. Find your relief from the aches and pains, the emotional stress and drain, and sleep again. CBDDallas.com. They're at 8550 Plano Road, Suite 101 on Plano Road at Northwest. Damn. Take 2. Plano Road, Northwest Highway, the northeast quadrant of that burgeoning intersection. Begin your healing at the House of Healing. And let me tell you, I'm in a little pain myself these days, and they have helped me drastically get around it and sleep better and just get through the day without hurting so damn much. That's all I wanted to do, and that's what you want to do. So go to the CBD House of Healing and check it all out. All right, now.
Sorry, Mike.
You're
That's
doing
all right.
You've done just about everything.
I'm trying really hard today.
Who thought an east-northwest highway was a good address?
It's tough. It's kind of like the Dallas North Tollway South.
Yeah, it is. There's
Or southbound I-35 east.
Yes. There's such a thing as being over-directionalized in this world. And people seem to find a way to fall into that very easily. So, I don't know. It's crazy out there. We have the great Jeff Kay with us.
Yay.
And we were talking a little bit about the state of the game of radio. Now, I'm not asking you to impugn yourself or anybody else in any kind of way. But people still, even though I'm out of the game now and probably will be for the rest of my time here on the planet.
This is the game now. I would argue that what you are doing for guys like me, I explained to you that I am isolated now in my radio job, but I like it. And because I report to the national, and it's another avenue for them to sell advertising.
Sure. And it's one that they resisted for a long time, which they will do. There were people up there who did not like the idea of having their people out somewhere doing podcasts in addition to their regular on the air gig.
Right.
But now some of these so-called barriers seem to be coming down, and they see possible new revenue streams there. So it seems like they're starting to embrace it a little bit more.
You know what I think is really great about radio right now, especially at iHeart, and I will commend iHeart, and I'm sure a lot of other companies like that. I don't know because I only work for iHeart, but iHeart and iHeart sales and iHeart marketing is all about the influencer. And I'm sure you were there recently enough where you were in some of those meetings or whatever. The entire focus of the company now, and I think they're hearing this a lot from advertisers. If advertisers are going to pay the money for an endorsement, if they're going to go out and find a talent, so to speak, or a radio personality to endorse their product, they don't want somebody that's just going to rip and read copy. They don't want somebody who's going to not sound authentic. They want somebody that's just kind of also using their product. You're in pain. You were talking about your CBD House of Health. That was unique and that was believable and that's real. And the more that advertisers, clients can feel like they're making a connection, and that's really what the influencer idea has become. I mean, really, every kid in high school today wants to be an influencer, right? That's the knock on Gen Z is they all they want to do is be influencers. But if you can do it and you can do it well and you've got a radio following, you know, Bo Roberts on Lone Star, Billy the Kid on Mix, you know, the Kid Craddock crew, Mike Rhyner. I mean, you have a built-in following. So if you endorse a product, there's a pretty good chance that a lot of people are also going to follow your lead. But how can you do it in a believable way? How can we get the copy away from you so you're not ripping and reading, right? If you're doing kind of a podcast vibe, if you're doing more of an influencer vibe, if you're just cutting on your phone and you know, you're at one of these places and you're telling your followers how awesome it was to be here, or, you know, me and my wife last week went to this restaurant, or, you know, I've got these inserts in my feet because I've got, you know, heel pain and, you know, this store has helped me with their inserts. And, you know, those are the kind of things that really are a lot easier for the salespeople to go sell these days.
Yeah.
So I feel like iHeart has made a big commitment. And their thing is, look, we understand it's a little bit more work for you as an air talent to embrace social media, to learn the tricks of TikTok and Instagram and how to manipulate the algorithms. But if you can learn it, you are helping yourself make more money as an influencer, which helps us as a company sell you as an influencer. So they want to know, how can we get more influencers? How can we make Jeff K an even better influencer? Which I think that's never happened to me before. It used to be, oh yeah, this order came down from a national client. They need afternoon on-air talent in Dallas to endorse. Would you like to do it? Yes, I would.
Yeah.
These days, it's, you know, I was out the other day and, you know, I'll just say it. I went to the Good Feet store and I have plantar fasciitis and I wear inserts, and the inserts have changed my life. And, you know, we're in the process now of using those stories to try to get the Good Feet store on in afternoons with Lone Star 92.5. You know, my wife had incredible allergies, so bad she couldn't. I don't mean to turn this into like my radio show. The point is Aspire Allergy and Sinus is on with me in the afternoons because of my wife's personalized stories of having overcome allergies. So those are the things that help iHeart, that help me. And it's all based on the influencer model. And that means embracing social media and what can we do to make your life more sellable. And if you resist against that, if you're one of those air talents that's old school and you're like, I don't think I want to do that, then you're probably not going to be long for this world in commercial radio these days.
Yeah. Yeah, it's changing even from back when, you know, we did live spots and everything.
Right.
Like I've always, you know, done them, but for a lot of people, I mean, I tried to realize that if you're doing a live spot, you got to try and sell it. You got to, I don't know, somehow get away from the copy, make it a little bit more personal, try to put across to the listener just how this can benefit them, and do it in a way that it doesn't sound like you're trying to sell them something or you're just trying to get something over with.
Right.
You know?
I mean, I think there's still going to be some of that. There's always going to be those national clients that, like I said, need afternoon exposure, and those are going to be copy-based endorsements, and you're going to have to pre-record those in some cases, and they're going to run during the commercial break, and they're going to sound like commercials.
Yeah.
But if you look at iHeart and you look at some of these DJs, these morning shows, and the literally millions of dollars that they're making just in endorsements alone, and you wonder what's their secret, Go look at their social media and see how they weave those endorsements into what they do naturally, and you'll understand why they're so successful.
Yeah.
It really isn't a rip and read thing with them. It's more how they've got such a relationship with that client that is part of their everyday life, and they're just basically popping on every day to explain some new story about that relationship.
You know who I bet got the ball rolling on that?
Who's that?
I'll bet the great Howard Stern got the ball rolling on that.
Yeah.
Because I remember when he first came into the market, I didn't know a whole lot about him or anything like that.
Yep.
But I started listening to his show, and before long, I was just a complete, total 100% devotee to him. But I wasn't just listening to what he did. I was listening to how he did it.
Yeah.
You know? And when he would do a live spot, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
You know,
he never stopped telling stories. It's like you almost couldn't tell when the live spot began.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he's talking about a product or a company, and it's like, oh, yeah, he's selling me something now, and I didn't even realize it.
yeah, you know who else was really good at that? I don't know if you used to listen to these guys, but man, I worked with them for a little while, and they were just great at it. That was Hal and Dick.
Nope.
On WBAP.
No.
Oh man, they were just incredible at stuff like that.
Is that Hal J?
Yeah, Hal J and
yeah,
Dick
I know
Siegel.
the names.
Yeah.
I never really listened to news radio.
Yeah.
It was never a news radio
Well,
guy.
back then they were doing like a country music show.
Oh, okay.
And Dick Siegel was the traffic guy, and he was up in a helicopter. Which
Was he really in a helicopter, or
Oh,
was
yeah.
he doing...
No. He was really in a helicopter, and he was flying it himself.
What?
Yes, he was
badass.
flying it himself, doing a radio show at the same time. And the reason I know this is because a couple times he took me up there with him.
How safe did you feel?
Not very. I mean, helicopters kind of freak me out anyway, but when I would think
You're
about
being driven by a radio host?
yeah, who was doing it and just doing it seamlessly. That's it, you know. I mean, all he did was tell jokes. He had a whole page of pages from joke services, you know.
Yeah.
But man, it was just a great show. But there were others who did that, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, like he'd be telling a story, telling a joke, and he'd come out of it just going, "Carl's Tasty Sausage," and into a live spot they would go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. It all boils down to advertising revenue. We'd like to think that people get into radio because they like the music. Remember, that was the Jeff K. YDC 1.0 was, I told you the stories about how I wanted to really work at the edge in the early days because I felt like it was changing the world, and I wanted to do radio because I loved the music.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody thinks like us, Mike.
No,
you know,
they don't.
they want to be in radio to make money.
Yeah.
And the way you make money is by selling advertising. And the way you sell advertising is by convincing advertisers you got good ratings. You know, and so if you want to convince advertisers these days, they've been sold to so much and they've got so much competition and money's tight. We came out of a pandemic and blah, blah, blah. It's a lot harder for them to say no if Mike Rhyner is going into their store and telling them about it than it is to have one of your minions pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these endorsements or influencer things you hear on iHeart these days started with, you know, the talent or, you know, somebody that's on one of the morning shows or whatever, teaming up with the salesperson and going into that place of business.
Yeah.
And it's all about developing that relationship.
When you first were broached with the idea that, hey, I'm going to have to become an influencer here, how did you feel about it? Were you on board?
All about it. And I'll be honest with you, right? So and when people say they want to be honest with you, it usually means they're about to lie, right? I'm completely 100% honest here. You don't get rich in radio. I mean, if you're an on-air DJ, salaries are not great. But if you can be a good endorser, or the money you make outside your salary can sometimes be 1 time, even 2 times, 3 times what you normally make.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to get too personal with, you know, what you were at your height at the ticket, but I would assume your endorsements were probably 2 to 3 times what your salary was. Just putting it out there. I might be completely wrong. But you were doing so many endorsements and going to commercials, and I'm thinking you were number 1 in your demo. So anyway, the point is, if they're going to come to me now and they're going to focus on how can they get me more of that money,
Yeah.
but I'm going to have to learn a new way to get on social media or a new way to do these Instagram stories or Instagram posts. And I'm going to have to learn how to do TikTok, and I'm going to have to learn how to embed stuff and tag stuff and do,
Yeah.
it takes a lot. Now, there are some people that say they're not going to do that, but they will hire somebody to do that for them. I'm just I'm a single voice radio afternoon guy. And you got to remember, my main job is making radio spots. I also do afternoons on 92.5.
Yeah.
If it was all that I did, then I might be able to hire somebody to help me with that, but I can't. So it really is difficult at times for me to meet the minimum requirements for a lot of that stuff. But being on the classic rock station is a little bit more forgiving because our audience isn't as adept to social media. But you see some of the stuff that like the top 40, like the Kiss FM DJs have to do. And I think, my goodness, they're spending all day on Instagram. They're spending all day coming up with these things. And we have meetings, every 6 weeks or every quarter on how are you doing? Are you able to, do you need help with this stuff? What are you doing better? How can you be better at it? So it is a real commitment.
Do they bring in guys that know about that stuff, or is there somebody there that's really good at it?
There are people that can help you, but they're not necessarily on site with you.
Yeah.
So you can get on a Teams call with them, or they can, overtake your screen and kind of show you how to do stuff. I mean, technology's come so far that we don't all have to be in the same room, but there's resources to do it. I mean, I think iHeart is one of the leading companies of, this frontier of endorsers and endorsements. They do such a good job at it. So it's been a bit of a challenge. I'm excited to do it. I feel as, most of the people in the company, or I would say at Lone Star, I'm probably above the average of new technology. I'm certainly not at the level of some of the people on Kiss FM or the Mix or the top 40 stations. They are just so adept, and their stuff is really appealing. I mean, I could do better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really funny to think back when we were at the Ticket and social media started to come in and everything like that. And, once the ball got rolling, it's got rolling pretty fast, and nobody up there ever said anything to us about it. Nobody ever said anything got us in a room and said, look, you guys have got to start getting down on social media here. In fact, it was almost like they feared it.
I was going to say, if anything, it felt like it was discouraged for the first few years of like Twitter and stuff. And
At the Ticket, and again, this is all just my opinion, just from being on the outside looking in, but I'd say I was a P1. I probably don't listen as much as I used to, and that has nothing to do with the talent or whatever. I love everybody that's on the air now, but I just, there's certain I think I was of the generation when you were there or whatever. Yeah. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. You guys, was there anything that you were doing that wasn't great? You were like number one all the time. Every time, every book. And like I said, we're not going to get an answer out of Mike, but I would think that your endorsement money was off the chart. Compared, but I'm saying compared to your salary.
Yeah.
Because the key in radio, and this is another pull the curtain back, is, it's a lot of downsizing. There's less and less people doing more and more and more. One way to get a target on your back in radio is to have a big number on that sheet and not being able to justify that number, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, Jeff K's number is like 5 sheets down on the salary thing. But with the endorsement, like, my motivation is the company's motivation, and I love that. I love that thing. The more that I can work to help benefit myself, the more it helps iHeart, and the more that they can help me do that, the more it helps them. So you look at it's total compensation at the end of the year. What's my bottom line? It's enough to keep me and Bowie the dog happy.
Yeah.
But the salary's definitely, I would say, I'm not gonna say laughable, but it's something that keeps me off the target when those kind of cuts come, I think. And plus, I do like 6 different jobs for iHeart. So
you don't want to be a target.
Can we also talk? Is it okay to talk about like current Ticket? Are you okay to talk about that?
I'm okay to do it.
I'll just throw this out there and I'll see what you say.
I don't know if I'm capable of doing it, but I'm okay to do it.
Why did it take the Musers so long to have a podcast? And now they do. So that, I think, answers your question. I think it got to the point where the rest of the radio world is passing the ticket by on this medium for sales to go out and it's a whole new world that the ticket is not being able to have their advertisers sell. I'm not saying their salespeople sell to advertise. I'm not saying they need it or whatever. They're probably still making a ton of money, but the Musers now have a podcast and they should have had one 10 years ago.
Yeah. And this is very ironic because podcasts were like an atom bomb thrown in the room up there for a long time, particularly with the Dan and Jake thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was something that they feared, they wanted no part of. They didn't want their people doing them, or at least this is the sense I've always gotten. And it's kind of a strange situation because the ticket is forward thinking as it has always been. It's part of a company that really is not that way at all.
I was going to say, I think that's kind of the thing is the ticket would embrace podcasting and all that if they could, but I think Cumulus tended to resist as much of the new stuff as possible because they wanted to feel like they were still focused on radio or maybe just feared anything outside of radio, is my understanding.
Yeah. They wanted their radio people to be focused on radio all the time. And they feared, it was almost like they actually feared anything that might get in the way of that.
Yeah. Well, we've got a Musers podcast now, and from what I understand, it's doing well. I actually listened to, they're basically just telling the story of how they got in radio, which I think it's a good way to dip your toe into it.
Well, I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure they're doing great.
And I'm sure it's another avenue for Cumulus to make some money.
And I'd imagine it'll get fresher when they do get back from their vacation, because my understanding is that, they're basically in a 3 to 4 week vacation right now.
Yep.
And they recorded at least the first couple episodes
Oh, I see.
before taking the vacation. So I'd imagine it'll get more current and all that. But yeah, it's interesting seeing the, just that the ticket finally seems to be starting to embrace, or maybe it's Cumulus starting to embrace that. And I think part of it also is the Musers now have more time to do stuff like that because they'd been working 5.5 hours or 4.5 hours every morning, and now it's down to 3, and they're still having to get up early and everything. But doing a once a week podcast after show is not going to be nearly as taxing on them now as it would have been trying to push that, before the changes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What are their hours now?
6 to 9, which is nice.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of out of touch up there.
Yeah, that happened a few months ago. Like, I don't know if it was part of a renegotiation or just new contract. Or
no, I would imagine it was.
I would imagine it obviously had some sort of something to do with their change of contract, but it's maybe, hey, we'll give you this if you can give us that, and the radio industry is kind of in a weird spot.
I think that's a good point. I think if you want to talk about the state of radio, I think it's in flux. I think it's never been more challenged than it is right now, because I think the idea of free terrestrial radio is such an antiquated idea for the millennials or the next generation of listeners. So yes, we need every avenue for revenue, and we're going to figure out this new, frontier of podcasting. But
I think the next generation is turned off by the idea of free terrestrial radio, because for them it's a medium where they can't get what they want when they want it.
Right. Well, I was going to finish that thought by saying, what can we do about the 12 to 14 minute commercial breaks? I think that's the real key for terrestrial radio.
And I think that's what turns people off the most. Like, I don't want to sit in my car and listen to 14 minutes of ads and then get 2 songs.
But don't you also want to hear a song you want to hear when you want to hear it, and you don't want to hear another song instead?
Probably. I actually think that more people nowadays, I was looking at some statistics the other day, and I'm not going to go try to rattle off a statistic because I'll probably be wrong. But there's the very large group of people who, instead of radio, are listening to podcast in their cars.
Right.
And that's what they're listening to instead of music.
So how can you make those commercials not sound like commercials, right?
Yeah.
That's the trick. And it's almost like that's the evil necessity of radio, and radio gets that. So they're also offering all the podcasts. So they've got their fingers in this pie over here too. So if we're going to lose you when we go to 14 minutes of commercials, then hopefully you're going to go to one of our streams. iHeart, you can listen to just about every other company's podcast on the iHeart app. So if you've got the iHeart app, that can be your one source for just about anything and everything that you need.
That was a funny thing of, when we all first started working for iHeart, me and Shoopy and everybody, and, they asked us to, download the iHeart app and all that. I don't think many of us had ever used it before. And all of a sudden seeing, like the tickets on there and stuff like that, it does feel weird.
But it also means that iHeart can run their own spots during the ticket podcast. So, I think everybody's just hanging on, hoping they can do the best they can. And I think iHeart, even though it's probably whatever, oversized or over leveraged or whatever, they have really made a commitment. There were some, times in the aughts and the mid-teens when a lot of heads were getting lopped off and there was bankruptcy filings, and it was almost like the Stars for a while. It was like, keep your head down. Hopefully you're not part of the next cut. But in the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years, iHeart's done a great job of repositioning, and they've really committed to the app. Not just because I work for iHeart do I have the app, but it is one of the most intelligent user interfaces of any of the podcasting apps. And like I said, they're committed to the talent as an influencer now. It's not like you're an interruption.
Yeah.
I mean,
I still something to say, and what you say matters.
Yeah, and they want to help you with that.
Yeah.
The more that you can be original and authentically you and authentically Mike, when Mike talks about CBD House of Healing, the more that you can be authentic. You said you're having issues, and it's helped. That's what can we do to help you be more that way. So I love that. I love that.
Pretty wild, Shoopy.
It's pretty awesome, Shoopy.
It is. Well, Jeff K.
Did we do okay?
This has been a slice as always.
All right, buddy.
You are one of a kind.
Before we go, can we talk about Dolby Atmos surround?
We can talk about anything
I thought
you
you'd
want.
never asked. Go for it.
You can talk about anything you want. What about Dolby Atmos surround?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Mike, because I have been obsessed with spatial audio. Spatial audio
Here
is
comes a new type of ad.
Yes, spatial, and here we go. Here we go.
You're about to be influenced.
Yes. You're not supposed to telegraph it. So people are familiar with albums that have been put out in 5.1 surround, right? You're familiar with 5.1 means that you've got 2 speakers in the front, 2 in the back, and a subwoofer. Those are your 5.1, I guess, means you're the one, and I don't know, some audiophiles go, no, that's not right. So you watch your movies at home in 5.1 if you've got a system that's set up for it. Well, a lot of our favorite albums have been reissued in 5.1. They found the original album stems or the original tapes, and they've reproduced them in 5.1 surround. Like XTC, all their albums are in 5.1. So I, of course, went out and bought them all on Blu-ray, and I listened to them in my home theater. Where's the little Vivaldi? Don't you have Vivaldi?
That's a ticket thing.
That's a ticket thing. That was a Grooves thing. Anyway.
I don't have that cut
So
anymore.
I'd listen to those, and great. So then
You're proud to have it on there.
about 2 years into 5.1, I noticed that all those same albums now are being re-recorded in something called Dolby Atmos surround. I'm like, what is Dolby Atmos? So this is even crazier. So this is like you sit in the middle of a room and there's like 20, 30 speakers around you, and they've isolated all the instruments to where like you are sitting, like you turn the lights off, you listen to these albums. It's like you are in the recording studio with these musicians. It's mind blowing. All right, so we'll leave the story there because I didn't buy another system. I'm like, I'm not redoing my system at home. 5.1's enough for me. But I wonder what that Dolby Atmos, that sounds like it's pretty cool. And all the XTC albums are coming out in them, and they're doing a listening party in LA. Should I fly to LA? No, I'm not going to fly to LA. So I was in the market for a new car, and I was also interested in going all electric. And I decided to do some research on sedans, and one of the sedans that kept coming up in all my searches that actually was rated higher than Tesla was this company called Lucid. I'm like, what is Lucid? So I did more research, and Lucid's a American-made vehicles. They're made in Arizona, and they've only got two models. They've got the Air, which is a sedan, and they've got the Gravity, which is an SUV. The Gravity just came out. So the Air has like all these different levels and trims. There's a base model. It goes all the way up to like a $250,000 extreme luxury version of the Air. So I can't afford that. Well, before our current president decided to get rid of all the incentives for electric vehicles, you could get like a $7,500 credit from the government. Lucid was also offering these great lease deals. And like if you owned a Tesla or you had another electric in your family, they had a Conquer deal where if you could get out of that. Anyway, so I looked into Lucid, and they have a showroom over in Legacy West. And I went over there and I test drove one, and I'm like, I still don't know. And I looked at what was available as upgrades for their base. I can't afford a Lucid Air, anything but the base model. And the base model is still pretty badass. It gets like 400 miles on a charge, drives like a German sports car. So one of these upgrades is a Dolby Atmos surround sound system in the car, a 21 speaker surround sound system. Lucid partnered with Dolby. There's a whole thing on YouTube. You can go look it up where the Dolby people talk, the Lucid people talk. Lucid has their own like audio file they hired for the, anyway, they created a native based app in the car, native meaning it's in the car. So you don't have to get it on your phone and Bluetooth it in, which would recompress the files. And I said, that's it. This is my car. I can finally satiate that Dolby Atmos need, and I can hear all these great albums. So now I lease the car. I love the car. It's the greatest car. So now how do I get these Dolby Atmos files into my car? Well, now I have to subscribe to a service that has these Dolby Atmos files. iHeart, where are you, buddy? I would love to do it. iHeart doesn't have Dolby Atmos files. There's only two companies that do. Apple Music has Dolby Atmos, and Tidal, Tidal. And Tidal, Tidal's a company that I want to say Jay-Z put some money behind. Maybe Neil Young. I could have that right.
I think Neil Young does.
No, he does that other one. He does that other crazy one. Look it up, Groobs. Produce, Groobs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look it up, Shoopy. What are you doing?
Pono player.
What is it?
Pono.
Oh, Pono. That's right. So Tidal is Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So a Tidal subscription, and here's another endorsement. Tidal subscription's like free for a month, and then it's like, I don't know, $10 every month thereafter. But then you have access to Dolby Atmos files. And I thought, okay, what is there, like 5 albums or whatever? There's literally thousands of albums that have been redone in Dolby Atmos, you know, like all the Rush albums are fantastic. They've got even current albums that I love. You know, all the Chicago and Tom Petty. I mean, just so I got the app on my phone. I made all my playlists. I got all my stuff. And then I get in my car and I go to Tidal, and there they are. Like it knows, like all the playlists I made are in my car. And so I started listening to all these albums in Dolby Atmos, and I now spend about 2 hours every day in the car. Like I'll pull up in the driveway, like probably going home from this today, I'll probably sit in the garage for an hour. My wife will come in, are you okay? I'm just listening to the Dolby. I go, you want to come? She goes, no, it's too loud for me. It's too loud. So that's my Dolby. I mean, I found a way to satisfy my Dolby Atmos curiosity in a vehicle that is so badass. I don't understand why more people aren't interested in going electric. And I'll leave that there because that I want to be part of the 3-timer club, and we'll talk about audio in electric vehicles.
All right. That's for the next round with the great Jeff K.
I just had to bring it was my latest obsession. It's again, I'm alone at home. I'm focused on iHeart a lot. But as a 60-year-old guy that's looking for new and exciting things in his downtime, this Dolby Atmos thing is it's enveloped me, and I cannot believe how good these albums sound. Like, I'm hearing stuff on these albums I've never heard before, ever. Like, backup singers were there I never heard. There's a horn over on the left side, and the lead guitars, I keep hitting this, on the right side, and 25 or 6 to 4 by Chicago. When the backup singers come, like, sitting cross-legged on the floor, like, they all come swooping over the back of my head, and it's amazing. We're going to go in my car right now. We're going to listen, Mike.
We're going to be influenced.
We are going to be influenced.
Lucid. At Jeff K. Net.
That's right. He's
At
an
Jeff
influencer.
K. Net on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, JEFFKNET. My last name is not Knet. No, I have a website that's jeffk.net. And I didn't think very long when I made my social handles. I thought Jeff K. Net. People will get that.
Yeah, people love the internet.
Yes.
All right, let's do the end of roll read and get out of here. Remember,
We only went 10 minutes long, Mike. That wasn't too bad. Last time I was here was like 3.5 hours.
remember, you can find all of our episodes on our Patreon page. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify. So listen, follow, share us on your social media. That means everything to those of us who swim in the waters of the podcast. And while we're at it, if you're feeling what we're throwing down, how about a nice review? If you're by the channel on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can help others find us by leaving a review. Thanks. Yeah, how about that? A little fast, but still, we got through it.
I thought you were
All right.
perfect.
Thanks for watching Your Dark Companion today. However, whenever you've been watching it, we would love to hear what you think about it, like we just said. See you next time. Bye.
All right. I'm gonna go take my pants off.
Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.